Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the fastest growing, fastest rising post-professional wrestling show in all of sports entertainment. Welcome back to Ringside Conversations. I am your host, Roddy of Cringeman Media. We are fresh off an elite, historically elite episode of Monday Night RAW. So let's get straight to it. First things first, we get a surprise entrance by our WWE Undisputed Champion, Mr. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. And we are in Madison Square Garden, the home of the WWE Championship, in which as soon as that man greeted New York City and said, "What do you want to talk about?" we get a very surprise, I don't know who could have predicted this, a surprise entrance by none other than Stephanie McMahon, who we haven't seen live on TV in a fat minute. She, greets and acknowledges Cody Rhodes and all that stuff, but she eventually gets down to business. To summarize everything, this is essentially tough love coming from Stephanie McMahon. She basically tells Cody Rhodes that the American Nightmare right now is incapable of beating this current version of Randy Orton. This Randy Orton loves the voices in his head. He can control the voices in his head, but he fiends for those voices in his head. And Cody Rhodes reminds Stephanie McMahon exactly who he is. He is Cody Rhodes. He literally was a part of Legacy with Randy Orton. He has seen all these diabolical things that Randy Orton did in his past. Some of those things involving Stephanie McMahon. If you don't know what he's referring to, you should do your research, because Randy Orton happened to DDT and kiss Stephanie McMahon's unconscious body in front of Triple H while he was handcuffed to a turnbuckle. That happened, and Stephanie McMahon drops a low blow, verbally, I guess, of Cody Rhodes by saying Dusty understood the mentality of doing what he needs to do and even thinking like his opponents. Cody Rhodes cannot do that, though. Therefore, he is not like his father. And Cody Rhodes answered back pretty darn well, in my opinion. He answers back by saying essentially the same thing, saying that Stephanie McMahon was not at all like her father. And we all know who her father is. So Cody Rhodes then, as Stephanie McMahon is leaving the ring, essentially grabs her. We kind of are having like a shoot moment, right? What's going to happen? And then he says, "I got 2 words for you." Everybody says the iconic "suck it" from D-Generation X. Cody Rhodes says thank you and walks out the ring. What a way to kick off Raw, by the way. And then shortly after, we get to see backstage of Speed, who, if you don't remember, got cursed by Danhausen last week. It's pleading to him that he wants to be uncursed. And Danhausen, being Danhausen, has a list of commands. He wants $1 billion. Actually, I think he said $10 billion. And then he wants to have access to all the streaming resources that iShowSpeed has. And Speed's like, "Bro, I can't do that. I can't do that, bro. No, I can't do that, bro." So then we shift to the first match of the evening, being a street fight between Austin Theory and Logan Paul and Jimmy and Jey Uso, who happened to debut a new theme song, which was pretty cool. It's almost as if main event Jey Uso and, Day One-ish had a collab kind of song. It was pretty cool. And you can tell the crowd was really feeling the song too. This was actually a pretty quick street fight match, in my opinion. The funnest part about it was actually not in the ring itself. Mr. LA Knight, was at ringside because he was a guest commentator. And he happened to get involved in the match after Logan Paul received his brass knuckles from his mom, who was at ringside. She had them in her purse. I'm not sure how she got through, the metal detectors with that thing. But iShowSpeed happened to have been seating right next to her, in which LA Knight tries to grab Logan Paul. Logan Paul is grabbing iShowSpeed. And then, of course, he ends up dragging Speed into, over the barricade. And LA Knight's attacking Logan, in which he drops the brass knucks near Speed. And Speed puts him on, thinking, "Oh, okay, I can finally hit Logan with these." As soon as LA Knight taps him on the shoulder, Speed knocks him out, in which iShowSpeed immediately shows that why he is cursed. So, that being said, he gets out of the way of the match, and the brass knucks was then used again because Logan Paul used them against Jimmy. This is after Austin Theory gets put through a table by the Usos. And then as Jimmy's laying unconscious, Jay then throws himself at Logan from the turnbuckle. And Austin Theory was able to pick up the pin from Jimmy's unconscious body. So now the Visions are the World Tag Team Champions, which I did predict on my last Raw recap. Because this is interesting. Because this is setting up to be a very interesting rematch at WrestleMania if they decide to go that route. At the end of the day, we have 2 weeks at WrestleMania now, so they kind of have to, let's get all these matches out of there. But overall, match was fine. But this Raw is going to show why this just almost nostalgia feel of the quote-unquote road to WrestleMania. Because shortly after this, we get Liv Morgan coming out. And, she does what she always does. She's the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all, right? And then she immediately, locked in. Calling Stephanie Vaquer a bitch, saying that you went after me, cheap shot at me, and you went after my family. And that's where I guess the line was crossed. And she also says Stephanie must be scared of her because she had to cheap shot her every time she get, And then she mentioned how Stephanie Vaquer has no family here, in which she then follows up with Liv talking about her mom. And she also talks about Stephanie Vaquer and her mom. And I don't speak Spanish, okay? However, she basically called Stephanie Vaquer's mom trash in Spanish, followed with puta. And then that was enough, obviously. And you could just feel the intensity, not only in her, but just amongst the crowd. And of course, Stephanie comes out and, she is fighting Liv, gets the upper hand of her, to which she grabs a chair. And we get a nice little surprise return from Roxanne Perez, who helps Liv Morgan out, who I forgot was injured, by the way. I don't know why I forgot that she was just gone off television. Roxanne Perez is great. And she's a part of the Judgment Day. And maybe it's because I was just so locked in to the Finn and Dominic stuff. Maybe that's what it was. And Roxanne Perez, I apologize because I respect you. Not former. She's a Texas native. I respect her. Next match of the evening. Tag team match of the women's division. Lyra Valkyria and Bayley going against the irresistible forces of Lash Legend and Nia Jax for the championships. And if you know the women's tag team division, you should know that by the end of this match, there was no new champions crowned because there were indeed interferences. So Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, and the Bella Twins happen to have also came out during the match. While they came out, they of course started chirping at each other and all that stuff. And then it wasn't until Nia Jax and Lash Legend gets involved with by taking them out that everybody else gets involved via Lyra and Bayley. And the match itself was actually pretty good. Lash Legend, in my opinion, embodies the quote-unquote irresistible force. You really feel how physical she is when she strikes somebody. So with that being said, it appears, in my humble opinion, that this is setting up for a fatal four-way match at WrestleMania for the Tag Team Championships. And that's fine if that's the case. I don't know why, if that is going to be the case, they haven't announced it yet. Well, because we're 2 weeks away at WrestleMania, and this build-up for the Tag Team Championship has been kind of, I don't want to say it hasn't been great, but it hasn't been great. But in spite of all that, we get no announcements of the match, and we still got SmackDown to go to. So maybe it'll be announced at SmackDown. We still have SmackDown for this week to look forward to for that. Now, this is easily the best segment of the night. Brock Lesnar comes out. The Beast Incarnate comes out with his advocate, Paul Heyman. He is dressed as if he's about to be in a match. He's not being in a match, though. He is dressed ready to fight, okay? Paul Heyman cuts a promo, and Paul Heyman does what Paul Heyman will do. He made an excuse for Brock, saying he wasn't ready to fight because he was in street clothes, and he came to have a conversation with Oba, blah, 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 blah. Brock Lesnar takes the mic from him and says, "What are we waiting for? Oba, bring your ass out here." In which our wonderful GM, Adam Pearce, comes out instead and says this is not happening tonight, but Oba says otherwise. Okay, Oba comes out. Oba Femi is so over right now, and I love how over Oba Femi is right now. He comes out, the crowd gives him a great reaction. He then takes out security, okay? And that one kid that he lifted up and threw on the ramp, God bless him, because ow. Okay. He then put the pause on our general manager, Adam Pearce. This feud between Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar has been my favorite part about this road to WrestleMania, because you literally feel the intensity every single time they come out here. And it's just two big dudes. There's no story involved in this. It's just two humongous beings like going at each other, okay? And there's no championship involved. Could you imagine if Brock Lesnar was a champion right now and Oba Femi was still doing what he was doing to Brock Lesnar? Sure, it would have made it a bigger deal, but what we have right now, I'm watching Raw, getting goosebumps of just these two entities. That's what it feels like. It don't feel like wrestlers. It feels like entities coming at each other. Well, I started sweating talking about them, man. God dog. So they end up locking eyes with each other. And you even get to feel how how important this is, because Triple H comes out and gets in between the both of them, in which he comes out and gets booed, because if you know, you know. And they lock eyes more. And then Triple H gets Paul Heyman to get Brock Lesnar out of the ring. And just to show some level of anything, okay, Brock Lesnar F5s the kid like on the padding on the floor at ringside. And it was kind of funny, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was like, why not? So, man, this match is going to feed generations with the way they're building it up. It feels like the absolute most important match on the card. Next, we have Penta versus Kofi Kingston for their Intercontinental Championship. It seems Penta's doing what the United States Championship is doing, having all these open challenges every week. The match was fine. The match didn't necessarily, what the story behind the match was more important than the match. Grayson Waller was at ringside. If you know, during his match last week against Javon Evans, who wasn't on Raw this week for some reason, that just came to my brain. Kofi Kingston went out of the way to be out of the way. He said Grayson Waller needs to do it by himself if he wants to be an official member of the New Day, in which he did not. Grayson Waller essentially matched that energy, but also Kofi Kingston told him, do not interfere in the match. I'm going to do this all by myself. Don't touch Penta. So Grayson Waller stood 10 toes down, and Kofi Kingston lost. Granted, Grayson Waller was kind of distracting, but regardless of that, post-match, Penta gets an interview, and he announced that at WrestleMania, he is going to have a open challenge ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. If you are a wrestling fan, like not just WWE, like watch other products, okay? Whether it be competition like AEW or in the indies, okay? Penta in the ladder match is going to you remember when you were a kid and you just had like a glass of milk before going to bed and your mom tucks you in and reads you a bedtime story? Penta in a ladder match is that bedtime story, okay? Now, who is going to be that challenger? I'm very curious on who it will be. I don't think it'll be Dom, because I think we will end up getting a match between him and Finn Balor. So, I don't know. I'm interested in who's going to be on the other end of that bedtime story. Moving on, Paul Heyman, the advocate, the oracle, the wise man, the Hall of Famer himself comes out. And Adam Pearce has kind of been not harassing Paul, but he keeps telling him, did you check your emails today? And Paul's like, emails. So Paul Heyman makes a bold claim that, there's nothing that the Raw general manager is going to know that Paul Heyman doesn't know. In which Adam Pearce says, then if you are telling the truth, then you would know that Seth Rollins faced no criminal charges or charges of any kind. And he is also, as of tonight, medically cleared. And Paul Heyman gets all like this. And then you hear the iconic burn it down, in which Seth Rollins comes from behind and just hits Paul Heyman in the back with the chair. Now, I was so interested in what this payoff is going to be between Paul Heyman and Seth freaking Rollins, in which when Seth Rollins puts Paul Heyman's head on that steel chair, I'm speechless, because I would have never guessed this. The one person, because you would expect someone to come out, the one person that came out happened to be the ring general Gunther. And he choked out Seth Rollins on the announcer table. And it appears that Gunther is not aligning himself with Paul Heyman, because after he did that to Seth, he kind of just walked out. He didn't check on Paul or nothing. Paul was just sitting there with his hands behind his head or whatever. But this is so interesting, because I actually was wondering what they were going to do with Gunther, because it looked like Triple H was saving Gunther as if the magic trick under his sleeve or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I just didn't expect him to go at Seth, but I love it for the aspect of the match is going to be fire because Gunther versus Seth Rollins sounds like a banger match. But a part of me does feel like, if he's going to be focused on Gunther, he's not going to be focused on Paul, which means I'm getting the impression that WWE is literally just going to abandon the whole Seth and Vision story altogether, which kind of sucks, man, because albeit Braun Breaker got hurt, Bronson Reed got hurt, all these guys got hurt, and we just left with Austin Theory and Logan Paul. But they at least made it interesting by having Seth just hospitalize Paul Heyman and the whole thing with last week with Paul having the cops on him and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of still fulfilling that story between the two of them, if that is the plan, at least anyway. And it's funny, too, because after this, we kind of thought that the OTC and CM Punk would come out, but nope, it was Iyo Sky versus Raquel Rodriguez. And this was a very fast match. It was not that long at all. Essentially, they started wrestling. The Kabuki Warriors came out. Asuka is bullying Kairi Sane at ringside. Iyo Sky, who has been feeling for Kairi Sane for the past couple weeks, takes out Asuka. But amongst the distraction, Raquel Rodriguez takes advantage, hits her with her Tahana Bomb. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Match is over. But now we're going to get to the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty. Our tribal chief, the OTC, who I will forever acknowledge. Okay. Comes out, requests to be acknowledged by New York City, which, of course, they acknowledge their tribal chief. And then CM Punk immediately comes out with fight gear ready to fight. And they literally threw hands. It was literally an on-site moment. CM Punk was correct by booking to have the upper edge tonight. My man's got speared and put through a powerbomb last week. So it made all the sense in the world to me to see my tribal chief, although I hated seeing my tribal chief as hurt as he was. He got put through a table himself. So, which the Usos did not come out, which I thought was very interesting. Because on one hand, it's they didn't come out. And, I hope they don't come out because then they'll be proving Roman that he can't do anything on his own. But at the same time, when they weren't out there, Roman got put through a table, So it's almost like if Roman's damned if he do, damned if he don't, because now I guarantee you the narrative's going to be when CM Punk has him all to himself, that's what's going to happen. So I don't know, but I will say this about CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Those two guys are the epiphany of what a road to WrestleMania looks like. It's nostalgic of Rock and Austin. You have two guys who are great on the mic, go at each other's throats verbally. Then when the opportunity comes, you allow them to throw hands. One gets the upper hand neck 1 week, the other one gets the upper hand the other week. And so we have 2 more weeks left until WrestleMania is upon us, and they are for sure the night 2 main events. So it just makes it very interesting to me on how great this road to WrestleMania is, to how great this match is going to be, because there's no way this match is just not going to be great. But I'm also thinking what's going to happen during the match. What kind of shenanigans are going to happen during the match? Is the bloodline going to be involved, aka the Usos? What would that look like? Is Roman going to tell them I'm going to do it on my own because I need to kind of situation, whatever the case may be? Or is my prediction from last week going to come true where CM Punk essentially revives the bloodline? I have no idea. Y'all can leave it. Y'all can let me know in the comments. But that was Monday Night Raw, guys. It was amazing. It was 10 toes above better than SmackDown last week. But with that being said, we are here at the road to WrestleMania, and we have more matches now confirmed for WrestleMania. And it's funny because I filmed a predictions video, but now there is more matches involved, I'm going to have to obviously redo one, which is fine. I have no problem. I want to get y'all the best products available to y'all. Now, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you guys are fans of professional sports or collegiate in general, who here at Crinchman Media, we try to appeal to all of you guys, including combat sports like the beauty of professional wrestling. Thank you guys so much. I love y'all. Have a good one.